Yo, what's up, guys? CJ here. Just gonna do a quick weekend Saturday crypto market update. Starting with Bitcoin here. Starting with the king as per usual. We still have our PO3 scenario here. It's still very much on the table. I'm not convinced that we're going to get it exactly in this fashion and that the top is in. So we just have to be aware of it as a possibility. And that would be looking like this. Something like this. To confirm this, we need a hard break back inside the range. We're already back inside the range, but kind of at a spot that we need to be rejecting from if we're going to. If we come to these levels, start kind of disrespecting the top of this, we could see a rotation down to 74K. I don't believe that'll be the full situation, as there's some other factors that we can dive into here. But overall, I do see this range as distributive. Market makers will be selling, I believe, in this range, and whether we accumulate here, maybe come up, take some more liquidity, because there is buy side liquidity here if we go on the lower time frame. So once we come onto the lower time frame, we start to see this range developing here. We have all this buy side liquidity starting at this point to here. Just kind of be aware. And this is what we could rotate back to. This range locally is getting pretty ugly here. Turn the sessions off because it's the weekend. But we will see if we can get acceptance back inside this range right here. So far, we don't really have confirmations of that, and this weekend PA is a little bit to be expected, but Bitcoin kind of in an awkward situation right now. And if we can't hold this range, we could see a rotation down to 104, probably as our next level. So what else is being shown? Bitcoin is not really giving us too much, but if we come to our USDT dominance chart here, it's also not giving us too much. This range is a bit awkward. It could definitely shape up if we come down here, maybe accumulate in this area and come back up. That would equivalent to Bitcoin getting acceptance back inside its range, but then who knows from there. So we're gonna look at a couple altcoins to see if we can forecast what they're doing. Kind of look at first off ETH here. ETH is in a confirmed Model 1 accumulation. If we zoom out here though, we came and made all-time high again and sold off super aggressively. Now we're kind of getting this range. More so at EQ of the bigger range, but definitely have some buy-side liquidity that we could rotate back up to. And this is kind of the range I'm watching here for an accumulation. So we'll have to see on this. Technically, we don't have to come back any farther. But if we want to get technical, I'm looking for this level right here. I'll show you what it looks like on the lower time frame, but just some structure demand on the lower time frame, but we absolutely don't have to see it. Building a lot of liquidity right here, so whenever price wants to sweep that, it can totally valid to be in this trade already, I would say. But I'm looking for a refined entry Saturday, maybe Sunday. See if this can drag out maybe to Sunday morning, somewhere around here. That would be nice. Or we're just gonna go up here because Bitcoin could get acceptance back in this range, and that would pull ETH up. couple other charts that I'm looking at here is Aave. Now, I want to give you the greater context here. We are in a confirmed Model 1 distribution. So I'm looking at an accumulation here to just mitigate some more supply, market makers to fill more shorts, and to dump it down lower after this. So this would be only a technical target play. You have SUI here, beautiful trade right here. Could have managed it a little bit better. We had this liquidity target, beautiful trade down in the history books, but we also have SUI in a Model 2 distribution. We could see a temporary bounce here though, but overall expecting lower, expecting this sell side to get taken. We're still in a position on this. Where's our position here? Not the craziest position, but we're still in this position. Gonna see how that can play out. Coming over to Sol, kind of seeing the same situation here. Sol's looking very distributive as well. You can validate this. Yeah, tap and go. You can validate this on the higher time frame, removing this dot. So it's not actually a 4 tap, but there was a very clean distribution right here. But if we do accumulate, I'm not sure if we just push higher here. Sol's a tough chart right now. Overall distributive price action. To complement ETH here, we have Uni. Uni's a pretty clean range here, but again, same situation where we have a distributive range, liquidity below, and we could look for a rotation back up where these taps merge together and you got your 1, 2, and then a 3 in this region. We're gonna have to extend these zones. So these are more internal plays, but we're going to take a look at our higher time frame plays as well coming up, and then we're going to take a look at a prediction chart as well. So we got Uni here. Market's getting a bit of a move up, but I'm still looking for Uni to come lower, especially at least to sweep this liquidity level, and preferably into this extreme demand level. We had a nice kind of TCT within TCT for this third tap, or for the second tap. Maybe you could have validated this. Yeah, you can't. This is all just one tap, at least on the 45-minute. So you don't even have to go that much higher time frame to validate it. But it's actually valid on the hourly. That's interesting. Yeah, still looking either way. Still looking for a pullback here in Uni to complement ETH. Have to see on both of these guys. Okay. Now into our higher time frame plays, accumulations. First up, we have Luna here. Super nice range, very beautiful range. You got your volume profile, making this a TWT. You have this extreme demand level is the level that I'm watching. Not really looking at this as extreme liquidity because we already swept it. It could technically be your new extreme liquidity though, but I would be looking for a mitigation of this demand level, and then you're having your TCT within TCT right here for the third tap with this range where you're having your 1, 2, and 3. If that happens, I would like to long this heavy for almost an exit pump looking at the chart, how high could we go? Obviously, we're at all-time lows. It's the ideal spot to be longing. I mean, you're having some supply levels. Could maybe make it up here. Most of this is all liquidity. But I'd be looking for, you know, at least this level right here. So first level. What would that be? If we are getting down here. Yeah, like 100% pump. You know, maybe we get 200% all the way up to this level on a wick. And I would expect that to mark cycle top, you know, just peak euphoria. A coin like Luna pumping 200%, you know, feels like the cycle top if something like that were to happen. Luna's not an isolated situation. We got Filecoin looking very similar, extremely clean range here. Can get rid of these supply chains. All supply is mitigated. And this is the same chart like Luna. Very, very similar chart. All-time lows. Perfect spot to be longing. And you got that exhaustion coming into the range too. Just volume profile, volume inefficiency. Like, this is just perfect. This is arguably even cleaner, although both ranges super clean. Looking for at least 100% pump here on file. And, you know, I've also seen this idea where you're having a PO3 just like this. You don't really get too much of a pop down, though. That's the only problem here, where you were kind of having that with CRV. I can give that example in a second. Just hold on to that. We'll pull up CRV as well, but this could be your manipulation phase like this, in which case we could be looking for, you know, 450% pump on Filecoin. That's if we got that, that would be pretty crazy, you know. But this is absolutely the spot to do it if we were going to do it. So there's definitely this PO3 idea, but I know this manipulation phase is just not quite low enough to be a classic PO3, potentially right at all-time lows. So it's harder to pop it all the way down, but definitely a possibility here, because we really, you know, this is all buy-side liquidity, and the way we're getting such a clean accumulation here would definitely give us the fuel for a 450% pump up to 11.9, you know, maybe 12 blow off top for the end of file here this cycle. But extremely clean range, a range I'm very intrigued about. Just to be aware of the follow through that this range could have. Now, technically, we are already in a confirmed Model 2 accumulation, though this low, when we zoom in, it's just not the cleanest low, you know. A little too LTF, but you know, it could work. But there's just levels lower, and it's not the cleanest low. We got a lot of liquidity here and not too much demand, where there's a situation where we maybe don't need to get the TCT within TCT, and we can get something like, if anyone remembers the XRP model, that one, it did put in a low, you know, just taking extreme liquidity and front running demand. So obviously lots of us are aware of that. So this is file looking for a mitigation of this level, TCT within TCT in the third tap. these will be absolute bangers of plays. And our last coin we're looking at is a Shiba Inu. Very similar range. You had that Model 1 accumulation that just hit target. To create the start, you retrace it all, you create the start of your bigger range. Very clean levels, and this is one I would be very aware of front running this demand. How clean this liquidity level is here. You know, if we want to just pull it up, we'll get rid of Sui here. Just so we remember here, but this XRP model right here, where we had this demand we were waiting for, and just like this, extreme liquidity sweep and pump into technical target. So, you know, just gotta be aware of something like this on Shibu, especially when your tap 3 is getting extended like this, when the duration is a little bit longer. Like we can see here on XRP, it was getting a little extended, so sweep extreme liquidity and pump it. And you can kind of see that in SHIB here, where we're getting a little extended, so got to be careful. The level's pretty close though. Just anything in this area, I'll be ready on SHIB. Last couple charts we're gonna look at here for this analysis. We got another play on Hype, similar. This is similar to Sol, similar to Sui. You know, where we're having this distributive environment, Uni. This is just one I wanted to talk about if we're going to be changing our range here. So we initially had this Model 1 distribution that almost hit target. I never traded it, but gotta beware. And you have this compression, which gives, like, in most cases, this would make a great argument for this being our tap 1. But if we have to assess what the market is giving us, it seems a bit more clear that this range right here is going to be our topping range on Hype. And if we're looking at this range, let's get our DL tool on here. So any high time frame closes above 54 would invalidate this range as our topping range on Hype. Gonna leave this tap and go with this range for now. Given, you know, and if we were gonna get an extended model, I wouldn't say that, but given the way we put in this high, you know, not a super clean high, got a lot of buy side liquidity here, not seeing too much supply in this range, you know, especially if we go on the lower time frame here. And again, we're gonna mold this into another play here that we're looking at for the LTF. On Hype, just gonna see how this develops. Would be looking for a Model 1 here as well. You know, we'll get this out of the way. But, you know, the vibes. Coming into demand, pretty good demand level here. Had this nice refined level, and then you got this level lower, so order block. And just kind of looking for this to see if it's going to develop into a clean range. There's definitely cleaner out there, but you can kind of see some exhaustion coming into the range as well. So definitely an area to look for longs on Hype, even though we're kind of at EQ, just kind of expecting more of a rotation back up on this range. And finally, that'll bring us to CRV, just a coin that we've been covering a lot. I kind of got a little exhausted with it. The PA took a little break, but we're back covering CRV, which actually has a pretty nice range going here. Let's check the volume profile. Check the volume profile here. That's pretty interesting. Okay. Yeah, would be looking. Let's see if we have any levels here for Model 2. That would be a little bit better. So you have this order block right here. don't have this one done up earlier, just partially, I guess. So kind of came into some supply right here. I'm sure that's structure supply in the lower time frame. No, it's actually mitigated, but you know, you had something there. But if we were to bleed down here, looks like you're having your extreme liquidity just below demand. It's a bearish candle. And it's bullish. Either way. Extreme liquidity. Right like this. So here's another setup for the longs here on CRV. Get a pretty nice range develop here. You know, I'm not seeing really any supply in this range. Looks like you even had a reaccumulation, something on the LTF, the MAL 2, 1, 2, 3. Volume is distributed a little weird in this range, but it is the weekend. Let me see. Friday, where are we going to Saturday? Yeah, so if we can keep this as our weekend liquidity and come down here, we could, especially if we extend it out, get pretty good time displacement and come into these levels, leaving some highs intact to give us a local RTZ. We get something like this. Looking for something around that. Oh, make this clean. Wasn't the cleanest drawing, but something around this OG tap 1, always a level that we were looking for. Damn, that was not clean. Something around this level right here, good break. We can be looking for a long on CRV. And we could probably run that to the supply because here we have another liquidity level right here before coming into our supply. So here's another long idea to stack. And you know, when you're having all these ideas, it's nice to just compile them all, and then when it comes time for execution, you know, just kind of taking the best looking one or spreading your risk, 0.5 risk on 2 different trades, but preferably just probably one. But here is another look on CRV that we can add to the list. We'll see who comes down nice, or if we just don't get those third taps. I'll give a higher time frame outlook here on CRV. So one thing I wanted to point out actually is how many structured moves are we getting here. And we'll see how many we can count, but we'll come on to a reasonable time frame here, the 4 hour. And from our top down, you know, we've been getting 1, 2, 3, S of P there, barely. So 1, 2, 3, 4, here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And maybe you go into a Model 1, you get 5. But quite a few structured moves down could be a good place to reverse. Kind of this level where you had your 3-day break. I'm not having a very, very good level. I erased some of my demand levels that we had coming across here, but super small level in here that's kind of this general area. And then there is another small area around here, and then demand here, and then the rest, you know, sell side liquidity till we get down to this 0.58 area. But overall, just a great place to reverse here on CRV. And you could almost look at this like a PO3 as well, though it's not quite deep enough. If you're looking at this range, say, you know, it's just, you do have some supply, and if this was a PO3, you expect to be blasting through here. But overall, just a good area to look for a long on CRV. We don't want to get this video dragged out too much. We've kind of been cooking here, trying to provide as much value and as much things that I'm seeing in the market right now. So here's another look on CRV that we can add to Uni, ETH, Aave. There's also one on ADA, not going to cover it in this video though, because we already have enough. And hype. Then we went over a higher time frame plays. Gonna end the video with an interesting chart here, just to watch general market type chart. You know, we're going with a higher time frame here. But this is total divided by USDT dominance. So, you know, this chart going up is crypto total market cap going up, so bullish. And then obviously this chart going down is USDT dominance, where going up, where on the higher time frame, you know, USDT dominance here is in a confirmed EHP model. So, you know, this model has the possibility to fail, in which case we would most likely get a model 1, which would also be clean, you know, which would also be clean on USDT dominance. But trying to compile it here with this chart, so total divided by USDT dominance, and this is kind of a cycle topping level that I'd be watching, just to kind of see what we're going to get in this range, watching this supply level where we came into, and then on the weekly we have another supply level right here, and we have our demand level right here. So anything where we are maybe coming down and bouncing from this level, we are getting outperformance. Not the cleanest Picasso drawings right now. We are getting outperformance, or just liquidity into the market. You know, that's when Luna is pumping, it's when File is pumping, it's when SHIB is pumping. You know, other charts are going up potentially, but these ones pumping the hardest, having actual accumulation models at the lows. So, you know, maybe that's this chart coming up into this level, and then this is the cycle top. So this is just a chart I'll be watching here. And yeah, boys, let's be ending the video there. And yeah, let's get ready for a great week.